Hi guys, I just want to take a few moments to walk you through how to use the new NRP Scenarios in the UNI program. Hopefully this will make running newborn Tori go a little bit more smoothly for you, and that you'll just have to follow along with the scenario as opposed to trying to do stuff on the fly. So obviously this is what UNI looks like when you first open it. And the first thing I would do actually is come over here to this column, and where the yellow star is, I would click that. And what that's going to do is eliminate all those other extra pieces that Tori can do and really help us focus just on those vitals and assessment pieces that are particularly pivotal to NRP. So now that we have a quick snapshot of what she looks like, we can come over here and get our scenario started. So there's a few ways we can do this. One is right from this screen here called the quick launch screen. As you can see, there are scenarios listed here. Some of them are pre-built. Some of them, such as that ED Mock Code White, are ones that I have built previously. But what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down until we see these NRP lesson 4, 6, and 7. So what those scenarios are is I designed them to mimic what is in lesson 4, 6, and 7 of the 7th edition NRP book. So you could also get like a quick idea. One covers PPV and CPAP. One moves into intubation and chest compressions. And kind of like the big Mac Daddy of them all is the one that works with epinephrine and volume expansion. So let's say we wanted to do this. We could click on this lesson and hit load scenario here. One other way you can do it, however, is from this bar, go to scenario, click that, and this is what like a blank scenario screen looks like. And what I can do from here is hit this load button, and that is again going to pull up all of those scenarios. The one benefit to doing it this way is I can click on that lesson and I get a full scenario description listed here just to make sure this is exactly the scenario that I want. So I read the description, it's looking good. I'm going to come over here to load and click load to pull that in. So now this is what my scenario looks like. So each of these rows here is called a node, and you move through the various nodes until you get to the end of the scenario. This one's pretty short because, again, it is just about PPV and CPAP. So that's the end of it there. So how this works. You're going to have it all set, ready to go, and then when the providers are ready, you're going to come down here, click play. So, as you can see, there's some yellow blinking over here. This is what Tori is doing at the moment. So you can see she's got 100% cyanosis. She's apneic, she's not breathing, and her heart rate's only at about 40 beats per minute. So that is what this red bar, which is called a palette, you can call it a red bar, is set to provide Tori. And then you can see we're currently at wait indefinitely. So this is the nice part about using the scenario, is that you are going to wait and Tori's going to hold herself in the current state until the providers do each of these actions. So they see her like this, they dry and stimulate, check for breathing, and get all these other pieces done. Once we hit the last piece of the checklist, it moves into this Mr. SOPA node. So you see her status didn't change because we're going to have to do some corrective ventilatory steps in order to get some effective PPV. So they work through almost all of the Mr. SOPA steps. We don't have to go to an alternate airway. So again, I'm going to hit this last check mark and we're going to move to the effective PPV node. So I hit that there, boom. So you can see there's some changes happening over here. Her cyanosis is going down. She's showing some periodic breathing, and her O2 sat is moving up, as is her heart rate. And this is going to happen over the course of 30 seconds. So with this bar, it is time to slowly move into improvement over a certain specific time. Down here, I'm seeing it's got 3 seconds, 2 seconds left, and then it's going to switch this next bar. Now this next bar is going to move for the next 45 seconds. So you can see her cyanosis is still going down, her heart rate continues to increase, and she is breathing. So students will recognize this, or providers will recognize this. They'll discontinue PPV, and as they see that she's still continuing to get better with her breaths, they'll switch to O2. However, the lesson is not done. As you can see here, we now have some grunting going on. She's not really like improving her sats too much more. So we can't unfortunately show work of breathing to indicate CPAP, but you can still say, she's struggling harder to breathe, and they will hear the grunting coming from Tori. So that should trigger them to initiate CPAP. Once we click this, we'll move on to stable on CPAP. Click, and then again, over the course of 30 seconds, which is counting down here in the lower left corner, her grunting's gonna go down, her respiratory rate is gonna increase, and she is gonna be, relatively stable on CPAP. So once she moves through these last 10 seconds here, she's gonna come to this wait bar. Now, in the previous notes, we had wait indefinitely, which meant, it was gonna wait until all your checklists pieces were complete. However, this is the end of the scenario, so I just have her sitting for 1 minute in her current end state before the scenario is gonna say that it's completed. So that way you can do some like last minute reviews, kind of correct anything a little bit, but then the scenario will end on its own. So I'm just gonna kind of let that run out, and again, over the next 30 seconds, this is what she's looking like currently. It's not gonna completely change or anything like that. So yeah, that is how a scenario plays out. And so it will say when she's done that the scenario has ended. Now let's say they didn't do great. You can come here and reset the scenario. You can use these to toggle between the items and the nodes, and you can also pause the scenario if something kind of goes like abrupt. So you see the scenario has ended. Okay. So let's reset the scenario, which is going to bring us back to the beginning, unchecks all those things, so you can run through that again. Now, let's say they did a really good job. You can move on to a different scenario. So we can come back up here to load again, click it, and same as before, picking a different scenario to use. And like I said, this one goes all the way through volume expansion. So some of this is going to look familiar because obviously NRP builds on one another. But we're moving into an alternate airway. We got chest compressions, meds, fluids, volume, and then stabilization. And again, she's got that minute pause at the end. Don't pay much attention to these. These are just something I modified in order to make these vitals, but the vitals will trend as appropriate for the situation. So that is what I have for you guys. Again, you can go from quick launch or scenario. So you just load it. Make sure that you hit these check boxes. That's usually like the #1 troubleshooter solution. If something doesn't seem to go right, I usually miss this checkbox and then it never moves. And so just make sure you're checking boxes there. And you would still do have the capability to click on these and, change these on the fly. I've got the blue box right now, so it's changing automatically. I can unclick this blue box and, her oxygen can decrease. I can have it decrease over 1 minute. So there is still some of that like customization play, but hopefully you'll just be able to like quick check through these boxes and Tori should do all of the things for you. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any additional questions. All right, bye.